So I have finally, albeit a little reluctantly, upgraded to Cubase 13, and I will give you 3 reasons why I have done that at this moment in time. Now, if you already have Cubase 13, you might think there's nothing here for you, but you might be curious about why I've upgraded. And also, if you are not aware of or have not discovered the freebies, you will definitely want to keep watching. So about 4 or 5 months ago, Steinberg released the Cubase 13 upgrade, and I made a video about it. At the time it was called something like Cubase 13. It was, in my opinion, the most iffy, namby-pamby, wishy-washy, lackluster upgrade in the history of upgrades. Coupled with the fact that Steinberg jumped this from version 12 to version 13, it was not even a 0.5 upgrade. It was a full point upgrade. It was a bit of an insult, to be honest, I think, to Cubase users. And they, of course, wanted to charge full upgrade price for it, which I think was about £85. So let's just say it was disappointing. Now, when I made the video, I had not upgraded, but I had watched a video by Mr. Steinberg, who ran through all of the new upgrade features. And I was waiting for the biggie or a couple of biggies, and they never came. So to me, this was basically a non-event. And I thought Steinberg were taking the mickey out of its users, trying to pass this off as a full point upgrade at full upgrade price. I did say in the video I was waiting for Steinberg to make me a better offer. So this may well be the better offer. So let's start with reason number 1, and that is the price. Steinberg has offered a 30% reduction in all prices, all upgrade prices, all prices of new software, all cross grades and so on. So after only 4 months, would it be cynical to think that Cubase has not sold as many upgrades as it expected? There are, of course, users, particularly professional users, I suspect, who will just upgrade automatically. But there are hobbyists amongst us, many who do use Cubase, and perhaps they were not quite so swayed by the benefits of the 13 upgrade. And Cubase hasn't been selling as many as it would have liked. Now, 30%. This is a bean counter discount. It's software, guys. Come on, you need to do a 50% discount at least. But okay, 30%. I'm not sure if we will ever get a better offer than this from Steinberg on this upgrade. I do seem to recall, and my memory might be playing tricks, but I do seem to recall that one upgrade a couple of years ago, perhaps Steinberg offered this at a 50% discount. I could be wrong there. But okay, let's go with 30. So it's £59.50 instead of 85. So we're saving £25. If Steinberg had initially offered this at £59, I wonder if I would have taken it. I have to admit, I'm not totally sure I would really have been on the fence about it. I would probably still have held out for some sort of discount. I've said it before, I'll say it again, with few exceptions, and there are a few exceptions. Virtually all software goes on sale at some point or other. So if you can hold your horses and wait for those discounts to appear, then you will save money. So reason number 1. But the second reason is that Steinberg offered some freebies with version 13. Now, freebies are always good, well, provided you actually want them and are going to use them, of course. But what's nice about these freebies is that Steinberg is giving them to all existing Cubase 13 owners, not just to new buyers. Now, a year or 2 back, Native Instruments had a similar offer, but only for new people. Existing users didn't get the freebies. I did not feel like a valued customer. I feel another video coming on there. But full credit to Steinberg for offering these freebies to existing customers. And if you are an existing customer, I hope you feel valued. If you go into your Steinberg account, if you haven't done so already, you should see coupon codes for these freebies. Now, Mr. Steinberg, as we call him, or at least as I call him, has made a video demoing these freebies. I shall leave a link to that in the description. But here's a quick rundown of what you get with what versions of Cubase. So there are Cubase, Elements, Artist and Pro, and the higher up the chain you get, the more freebies you get. So we'll start at the bottom with freebies, which you get with everything. And the first is a collection of guitar sample loops. I have to say I tend not to use sample loops very much, if at all, but I know a lot of people do. So if you want to drop some groovy guitar loops into your project, then this is for you. And speaking of samples, you get a 1 month's free subscription to Splice, which is a massive sample collection. It is a subscription service if you want to carry on after the month, so I suggest you log in, download their entire catalogue and cancel. But I know a lot of producers love Splice and they use it, but again, I'm not a massive sample user. There are thousands and thousands of free samples and sample loops you can get there for a very nominal fee, so you don't necessarily need to subscribe, just my opinion, of course. So this is Native Instruments Guitar Rig 7 LE, so it's a light version of Guitar Rig. I do like this Guitar Rig. I'm not sure what version it is. I think they may have updated it recently. So I haven't updated mine. I think I've got version 6. But as it says on the tin, it has a collection of guitar amps and effects, and you can dial in different guitar sounds. And it's not just useful for guitar. It can be used with any sound at all, and it's quite interesting to run some synths through it. So this is a nice addition if you don't have it already. So here are a couple you only get with Artist and Pro. Melodyne Essential. This is a really neat program for editing vocals. I don't do a lot with vocals, so I haven't used anything like this before, but by all accounts this is a very nice program if you do record vocals. There's also Motion Harmonic Light. This looks very interesting. I've only heard Dom's demo of it. It produces a sort of phasing effect and swirls your sound around the stereo system. At least that was my takeaway. So if you like stereo imaging, which I have to say I do, I think this could be very interesting dropped onto certain tracks. So this is another one which you get with Artist and Pro. It's Phosphat, which adds harmonics and boosts your low end. And again, Dom's demo of this, I think he used it on a kick drum to fatten up the kick, but you could use this on anything, I guess. It's probably not something I would reach for, but you never know. I'll give it a try, see how it works, see what it sounds like, and you never know. And so now we come on to the freebies, which you only get with Pro. This is Colors, which is a strange sort of synthesizer. There was a free version of Colors, which it didn't really do a lot for me, I have to say. I didn't really get into it, but I look forward to giving this a try because I love synthesizers and synthy sound, so it sounds very interesting. And this is Softtube's Wasted Space. Generally produce good stuff to Softube. It's a sort of lo-fi reverb effect. Sounds a bit strange. There are lots of lo-fi effects you can add already to make your music lo-fi, and there are already tape effects designed to lo-fi your sound. This seems to do it all in one, so another interesting plugin for pro users. And this, I guess, is the biggie. It's Universal Audio's Polymax. This is an analog synth emulation. I don't think it attempts to simulate any particular synth, but it's by Universal Audio. One would expect it to be pretty good, and it contains some Universal Audio effects, so I look forward to trying this and seeing what sounds it produces. So I will link to this page if you want to check them out in more detail, and this gives you details of the upgrades and the upgrade prices, and also the new prices if you want to buy something new or cross-grade from another door or something like that. So all the details on this page. I shall leave this in the description. But just to be aware, this offer only lasts until the 28th of April. So that's reason number 2. And reason number 3 was, well, yes, there were some things in the upgrade and I thought would be interesting. None of them, even summed together, were enough, obviously, to entice me to upgrade at the time. And even now, there are very few features which I think might be interesting and exciting. But there were a few, so let's go through those. You may be surprised at how few there are. I think in his video, Dom went through about 25 or 26. I can only muster a list of about half a dozen, which I am enthused enough about to go and check out. I may well fall into the others in due course. But there are also some changes which I'm not so sure about, so I'll get to those as well. So one of the most simple additions is a button or whatever to change a mono channel into a stereo channel or a stereo channel into a mono channel. You can sort of do this anyway, I think, but the ability to do it very quickly and very simply, I think, will be a nice addition. It's not something I'm going to use a lot. I think the only instrument I record which is in mono is the Moog Grandmother. But I do tend to work in stereo, so I find it a little bit disconcerting when the Grandmother only records it in mono. The second nice addition, for me at least, is the vocoder plugin. Now I have a couple of software vocoders and a couple of hardware vocoders. Why do I need another one? Well, listening to Dom's vocoder demo, it really sounded very sweet and very musical. Of course, that might just have been his voice. I have no idea what it'll sound like with my voice. But of course, you can run other things through the vocoder as well. And it'll be nice to experiment. I love vocoders, synthesizers, as you know, stuff like that. So I'm quite excited to try this one. There's also the Iconica Sketch plugin, which is an orchestral instrument. Now, I was a bit skeptical about this, and as I haven't tried it yet, the jury is still out. Now, if you're looking for a cost-effective orchestra, you can do no better, I think, than look at Spitfire's BBC Discover Orchestra, not least of all because it is totally free. It has 2 articulations for each instrument, long and short. Now, I don't know what Iconica is like, but I am looking forward to trying this one as well. Now, they've made some changes to the chord pads. These are not something which I don't think I've ever used them at all, but Dom's demo was so interesting and musical, I thought this is something worth exploring. One of the things which I will use and which I am looking forward to is the improvement in the step time input. Now, I don't use this a lot, but I do use it for arpeggios and instrumental flourishes, lines which I would find physically impossible to play. So that is something I hope will make the process a lot easier than it currently is. And last and possibly least, they have improved the key commands section. Now, I don't know if they've added key commands to previous functions which didn't have key commands and which you couldn't add key commands to, or if they have just simply enhanced the key commands window and the key commands section, which I know they certainly have done. So I'm looking forward to checking that out and maybe using a few more key commands in my workflow. There are also some new sample packs with Cubase 13. Now, as I said earlier, I tend not to use samples or sample loops, certainly very much at all, if ever. But it is still fun to play through some of these things and see what they are doing and maybe get some musical ideas from them. So I'll dabble with these a little bit, although I doubt I will use any of them. Now, there are 2 biggies which were widely promoted about Cubase 13, which I have to say I'm probably not going to use, or I'm not sure about. One of the biggies is the vocal chain plugin, which is a combination of plugins designed to create a vocal chain if you record vocals. And as I've said, I tend not to record vocals, so while this may be interesting to some, this is not something which I am probably going to use. I also suspect if you are regularly recording, then you have your own plugin chain already. So I'm not sure if this is a bit superfluous to requirements. But anyway, it seems to be one of the biggies which personally has no interest for me. The other biggie they were promoting is the changes to the mix console. Now, again, this is something I probably severely underuse, but I thought it was fine as it is for what I use it for. Now, if you were a serious producer, which I obviously I'm not, then you will probably find this very, very useful. Indeed, it is a lot of enhancements which hopefully would make your workflow a lot quicker. But to me, it's just adding more complexity where complexity was not needed. They've also added this bit on the side of the conductor or whatever. Now, I sort of think one of the jobs of upgrades is to simplify your workflow, and I just think these enhancements have increased the complexity, and some people have remarked on this in some videos shortly after 13 was released. I will absolutely have to go and check out the how-to videos to see how to work through some of these. But I really think it's a shame that the interface is getting more and more complex. I can appreciate the difficulty of cramming more and more features into the same sort of space without adding other things, but that is the role of the designer, and quite possibly at some point the interface is going to need a fairly severe rehashing. I think it's sort of getting to that point now. Whether Steinberg does or not, who knows? But one of the, I think, major disappointments for many potential upgraders was the lack of any sort of generative or random functions in Cubase. Now, I know it's primarily designed as a professional's DAW, someone who's going to use it to write music for the media and for films and so on. And it is absolutely excellent at creating massive templates for orchestral samples. But I think a lot of people are really interested in experimenting with generative music, stochastic music, and adding a touch of randomization to some music parts. Ableton does this superbly well. I understand I'm not an Ableton user, but it does it through Max for Live, and I think other DAWs do it as well. It just seems a really odd thing not to include in a DAW of, shall we say, Cubase's quality. So that's it. I am now a fully paid up member of the Cubase 13 Club. I have installed it. I just have to go and check that everything is still working and trying to work out how all the other bits and pieces work after the changes. Just remember the deadline for all this, the 28th of April. Unless it gets extended. Who knows? That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer them, but I will do my best. Leave them in the comments section. And if you have enjoyed this video, I think you might enjoy these videos as well. Thanks again. See you in the next one.